Good morning, Internet. I wonder if you're wondering, like I am wondering, about why there is so much hate in the world and why do they hate Mr. T so much. All is embedded in our history, and in this video I would like to share the reasons why in a short explanation. All is to be found in our history, but most had been hidden and kind of changed for us people. When speaking about Mr. T, there is always so much love, or there is so much hate. There is no middle way. And I wondered a long time till I got to that he must be of the ancient tribe of the Israelites. Since his CPAC speech, it seems that Mr. T is back, but not really. He's working in the background, and we have faith and time to see what happens and if he really can come back. I feel that he was never really gone, but things are being planned and executed in the background to clean up all the dirt and the betrayals. And they have decided to follow common law and order. It is not what the globalists want to follow. They follow their own rules and bend them as they wish. So to change things, Mr. T said that we must go back to the common law and order and not continue using marital law with its millions of bar lawyers who are dedicated to the British and who are turning everything upside down. So why is there all this hate? It is more than what you would expect between people or between groups or between... It comes from very deep in the belly, and it is like they cannot help themselves, and the hate is taking over. And so let's buckle up and let's go and have a look and see where we can find, in a nutshell, the answers to this question of the hate. We have to go back to a moment of the Old Testament where it speaks about the floods, the torrential rains, the building of the ark, and we know that very few people lived through this catastrophic event. We know that Moses was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, and they were said to be slaves, a group of slaves, but in fact they were highly skilled laborers and not slaves in the way we perceive slaves. Their stonework is amazing, and they know that from their descendants that went to Norway, Ireland, that they were masters in building big ships. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. This is history. This is history that happened. He did this during an event that is called the Venus event, which was a worldwide catastrophe, and Venus came very close to the Earth. And if you are interested, you can read about it from the scholar Immanuel Velikovsky, who wrote at least one book about it. I think it's called Earth in Upheavel. At the end of the video I will show the cover of the book. This event, this Venus event, brought a real havoc. There was a pole shift, and every culture on Earth speaks about it as a catastrophic event. History is history. But what I want to share here in this video is that we have two different groups that are claiming this history. And I think here is the root of the hate. This first group that is claiming the history and the story has been in control of the Catholic Church, the news media, the intelligence agency, the governments of nearly the whole world through their banking industry run by the Jesuits. The first group, this first group, the Jesuits, took over the church in the Middle Ages. So we have to look, who are the Jesuits? The Jesuits are not Christians by birth or by origin. They are a group of people who converted in Spain. They were original Jews. To protect themselves against the Spanish Inquisition, they had to hide. And as good Jewish people always do, they went underground. So they did their hiding by converting to Catholicism and Christianity, and later came in charge of the Catholic Church. And they gave the front of being Christian to the world, but they kept the secret societies and they kept their Jewish culture. In the Middle Ages, we have Columbus, who sailed for the Spanish to discover America for us, for the Western world. And this was mainly for slavery, making money, finding gold and all their values. And in these times you have to see that the Jesuits controlled already all the governments of Europe, and through banking mainly, through church and through the marriage, the intermarriages between the royal families and the important people, they controlled the money flow. So an extremely wealth came out of the Americas by Columbus, or by the people who followed him, in the form of gold, and they took it to Europe. And we know that they lost a lot, but people are still searching gold on the bottom of the oceans. But the gold that flowed, all this gold that came over, flowed in the Catholic Church, which formed the front of the World Bank. And this is where it all began, the control of the nations, where the Bank of England was started. You have to know that the Queen of England was a Rothschild. She was born in Germany, and her family are of the Saxon Coburg and Gotha. And if we look further into the family of the royals, we see that there's a lot of German, and not only say the great-great-grandfather of the Queen, they all have German roots, and the great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, came from the House of Hanover. And I always wondered why before Diana had her children, that the children of the House of Hanover were so high in the lineage to be a king of England. And the name Saxon Coburg after World War I, the German name, became a burden, and so they changed it to Windsor. So let's move on. The World Bank infiltrated the USA, and there is a whole long story around a man who came along, Cecil Rhodes, and his main goal was to bring America back under the flag of Brittany. And he was very active in South Africa, and he has a lot to do with the gold mines and with the Rothschild banks. And there is the famous Rhodes Trust, the foundation of Cecil Rhodes, and they award a lot of scholarships to study at the university in Oxford. So you can study in the world or in the United States, and then you can apply for the scholarships. And this is where most of the people that come back into our ruling jobs, let me say it like that, have been. They are Rhodes scholars. And if we see it, some very famous ones, Rice or Clinton or Bill Clinton. And there are many more. You can look it up. So the whole purpose was always to take down the United States. And actually this is kind of a ratio problem, as we have to see that the Israelites, they came from after they went through the flood period, and they crossed the river and they wandered for many years, and you can all look it up in history. And they went to parts of Europe like the north of Germany, they went to Norway, perhaps Sweden, they went to England, and they went mainly to Scotland and Ireland. And they were blonde people, blue-eyed people, and this is also the house of David, where Christ comes from. And Christ was light-haired and fair skin, and the crucifixion was no mistake, as Christ was preaching the true history of the world, and he was teaching about ancient disasters due to the comets and what happened to the world, and about all the tribes. So it is a long story, but to make it more short, we have to see that the people, the Israelites that went to northern Germany and to Norway and England, and they were called the Lost Tribes of Israel, and we know them also as the Celts. And they were real fighters. They were real fighters, and we know them also as the Vikings of the North. And then we have to see that a lot was done, so everything was done. I show a picture of an upside down world. Everything was done that the Israelites would not know or remember their true history. And when we look now in 2020 or 2021 at the COVID and the elections and the wearing of masks and the keeping distance and the forced vaccinations, we see that the final destruction of the races of Israel is in really full progress. And the racism isn't against black. It's not black people. It's really about this old history, and it is not so important what we believe, but it is important what they believe. And the globalists believe all these stories, and they go way back to the ancient lineages and stories, and they look at the DNA and they search for families and they search for spiritual abilities and gifts in the people so that they can fulfill their history. And the people that spoke about the secret history, they were of Irish descent. So many people don't understand where all the hatred is coming from. But if we look now at Mr. T, and perhaps why he is hated so much, well, he is of Israelite descent. He is from Ireland, he is from Scotland in his genes, and John Kennedy was too. So it is interesting that both presidents did not really pay respect to the people running the country, including the intelligence agencies. And if you see who they are the police front of the World Bank. So it is interesting if you look at all the different groups or political, or the UN, for example, they're all together with the globalists and the banks. And it is a long story, and it is everything about destroying the Israelites, who are very extremely powerful through their lineages. But they have lost track of themselves, and it would be great if they can remember and if they know about their strengths. For the Israelites are the ones who built up the United States, who came back to the United States, and they are the Christians, the Christians of the first wave, and they are the strong people who really built up the United States as a country. So it is a little misleading who they twist and put around everything and make upside down stories about what is really the history happening in the world, how much chaos there is, how much hate. And we know as people that we all want the same. We want to have a family, we want to work, we want to go on a vacation, we want to have fun and joy and children that are healthy, and we all want the same, and we don't want to fight. And we see so much fight and groups that want wars and are against each other. And then you saw the hate we had in the last 4 years when Mr. Trump was elected, and they got crazy, they went crazy, they went beyond everything. Huh? If you looked at Mr. T's father is from Ireland, his mother is from the Scottish Isles, and if you can remember that sometimes he holds up his Bible, and there was a very old Bible given to him by his mother, and he knows he is of the Israelites, and the Israelites came for religious freedom to the United States, and now the Christians are really followed, and they were the churches were closed during the lockdowns, and you can see that there is really a purge of Christians. And so I think that the suppression that we see comes from the people that are definitely no Israelites. And their goal is bringing the whole world under their control through the Great Reset. And you will find these people doing this all in sync with the New World Order done by the World Economic Forum, the Vatican Bank, the World Front Bank of the Vatican, the UN, the City of London. And you know who is in control? It's the Jesuits. So the people we see are not the people in the highest places in command, not even our presidents. The people that we see are the people that are paid with money or power positions. So the people that are really in control are the people behind the veil. So I would say, have a look at it, do your own research.